Welcome back, everybody. In the last video, we created this hero cell, and then I said that we were going to actually go and create this hero carousel here. But I actually want to build out one of our data models first. So far in this course, we basically have focused on the UI. We've been just building out screens, but we're going to get to a point basically now where it's going to help to actually have some of our data models set up so that we can see how it will actually look in the final product. For example, Alpha is just a fake name, but you can imagine that this is going to be the name of our avatar. And then here we're going to have a subtitle that we're going to set up in this video where this avatar would be a dog that is smiling in the park. So let's set up that data model pretty quickly here. And we're going to actually create a new folder. We haven't done this yet, but we have our components, our core, our extensions. I'm going to create a new folder here and call this services. So this will be where all of our data services are. So fetching the data, fetching the avatars, fetching the users, fetching the chats, all that type of stuff will go in our services folder. Within our services folder, let's create another folder called avatar. So anything related to fetching avatar data will be in the avatar folder. Within here, I'm going to put a new folder called models. So data models relating to the avatar. And then in here, we're going to put a new empty file, and it's just going to be a Swift file that we will call AvatarModel. This will be our avatar data model. Let's import the foundation framework. Let's create a struct. Let's call it AvatarModel. As we go and make our data models, I am purposely going to make all of our data models structs. This is going to be incredibly important when we get towards the later part of the course. Structs by default in Swift are sendable. Structs are sendable because of how they are managed in memory. They are value types and not reference types. If you want a quick refresher on value versus reference types, I will put a video link below to a couple videos from my YouTube channel that are just quick high-level videos on structs versus classes and how structs work in Swift. So we are making sure that our data models are all structs. So let's add some data to this data model. I'm going to pull up here another version of the app. So this is our mock version, which just obviously is a bunch of fake data. But I'll also pull up here another version of it with actually some real data of the finished product. So these are examples of the avatars that we're going to create. These are AI generated images. That's why they're pretty bad images. The purpose of this course is not to critique the AI, but to just build a great code base and a great app. So I'm not so concerned that these images are a little bit weird. But as you can see, every avatar is going to have a name. So we'll say let name of type string. And we'll make the name optional in case an avatar doesn't have one for whatever reason. When we go and we build an avatar, each avatar is going to have a category for the type of avatar that it's going to be. We're going to have men, women, aliens, dogs, cats, and you can go and add whatever type of species that you want. The AI is not super great at building a lot of things. So for example, men and women and humans don't come out as good as the dogs and the cats, but we're going to have a bunch of categories. So let's create an enum down here and call this the character option. And we're going to add in here a case for a man, a woman, an alien, a dog, and a cat. And you guys can go ahead and add more. We might play around with this when we actually work with the AI to see what the AI is actually going to give us back. But for now, we'll just go and run with this, keep it simple. Each avatar will then have a character option. So we'll say let character option of type character option. We'll make it optional just in case for whatever reason there is no character option. Every character is also going to have an action. So we can see here that Samantha is drinking in the museum. Jason is a dog that is drinking. Gloria is a woman that is eating. When we build out our avatar generator, we're going to give it an action of what that avatar should be doing. Obviously, it's not a great picture of Gloria eating in the city, but you get the point of what we're going for here. So let's create another enum with character action, and each character will have an action. Let's put here a case smiling, sitting, eating, drinking, walking, shopping. Maybe we'll do studying, working, relaxing, fighting, and then lastly, crying. Again, you guys can tweak this later in the course. So each avatar will also have a character action of type character action. We'll make it optional. Lastly, each character is going to have a location. So this Gloria is in the city. This dog is in the park. Nebula, this alien, is supposed to be in the museum. Obviously, doesn't really look like it, but each character will have a location. Enum, character location, open brackets. I'll have a case for the park, the mall, the museum, a city, a desert, a forest, and then we'll say space for outer space. The AI is going to work some of these pretty well, some of these pretty poorly, but we'll run with it. Let character location of type character location. Each character is obviously going to have an image as well, so we'll say let image name of type string, or maybe we should call this profile image name to be a little more explicit. And then lastly, we're going to have a little bit of data for the user that creates these avatars. So in our app, one user is going to create the avatar, but then every user will be able to see the avatar that you created. So in here, let's store the author ID, which will be the user ID of the person that created this avatar initially. Lastly, we'll do date created of type of date, so that we'll just track how long this avatar has been in our system. One thing I want to point out here before we move forward is that I am purposely making all of these lets. So a couple videos back, I talked about how in SwiftUI views, we are purposely making everything a variable so that we have the implied initializer in the struct. We could do that for the data model, but I am purposely not doing it for the data model. So for the data model, I want to be very, very strict on how we update the data. So in the views, these are already going to be relatively strict on how they get updated because of the SwiftUI view lifecycle. But these are no longer views, these are just structs. And I don't want a situation where somebody is changing maybe the name from outside of the data model. So if this was public, I could in theory create a model. We'll say let avatar model name. We'll say UID. And then in theory, I could call the model.name and set it equal to something else. The compiler is giving us other errors for other reasons, but I don't want the ability to just update the data inside the model from outside of the model. So that's why I'm purposely making all of these constants. And then because we're doing that, we're also going to build out a custom initializer every time. So let's actually write the initializer here, and Swift gives that to us by default. I'm going to triple click on the init and then Control M to put these on multiple lines, just so it looks a little cleaner. And I'll give all of these a equals nil so that the default is nil. So in theory, in our code, we can create avatar models without having to supply all of this data. While we're here, let's create some mock data. So in our mock version of the app, we have alpha, beta, gamma. This is so that we can build our app without ever relying on any sort of external dependency. This is great so that if I'm on an airplane, I don't have internet connection, or even if I just don't want to use Firebase for today, so because I want to develop fast, develop only with the data on my computer, it's great to have mocks available. They're also going to help us later when we write tests. So let's create a couple mocks down here. And I like to just put them inside the avatar model. So we'll put it in here static var mocks. And mocks will be an array of avatar model. We'll open the brackets. Let's create an array, and let's just start creating some avatar models. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to option enter to get the full initializer. The avatar ID doesn't really matter, so let's go uuid.string for a random generated string. This first one we'll call alpha, and the character option of the first one will be an alien. Character action, let's go smiling. Character location, we'll put the park. Profile image, let's use our constants.random image, just so that we have an image. Author ID doesn't really matter, so let's just do a random UID. Date created, we'll do now. I'm going to copy this and then just paste 2, maybe 3, 4 more. Let's name these alpha, beta, gamma, delta. So we have 4 just random names with random IDs. Let's make the second one a dog, third one a cat, and the last one maybe we'll do a woman. Let's change up some of the character actions as well. So we have smiling, this one will maybe be eating, this one will be drinking, and the last one will be shopping. Let's go to the park. We're going to go to the forest, go to the museum, and then the last one will be, we can keep it park as well. That's fine. Just some random mock data. I'm also going to create a static var called mock, and that will just be one singular avatar model. And in here, I'm just going to get the first avatar from this array. So let's just call here mocks, and we'll get the first one, index 0 from this array. So now in my code, I should be able to call AvatarModel.mocks or mock, and then I'll just have some fake data to play with. Let's jump into the Explore view quickly. Up here, let's just put a fake. We'll say let avatar equals AvatarModel.mock. And then on the screen, which we haven't really built yet, let's put in our hero cell view. I'm going to option enter, and then I'm going to triple click, control M. This will be our avatar.name, our avatar dot, and we don't have the description text yet, so we'll just also make this the name for now, and then we'll do avatar.image name, profile image name. We'll just give this a frame with a height of 200 just for the preview for 1 second. So we have our cell rendering here. What I want to do now is build this subtitle line. So this is basically a description of what the character is doing. And we could put that logic in this line right here, but it will make more sense to just keep that within the data model itself. Let's jump back to our data model. All right, so in here, we're going to create a calculated variable called maybe character description. That will be of type string. Let's put a blank string for now. I'm going to create a little helper struct so that we can create this string from these 3 options here. So I'm going to copy these 3 options, and then maybe down here, let's create a random struct here and just call this avatar description builder, and we'll open the brackets, and this will be initialized with these 3 items. So we'll create an initializer in here, and the description builder, I want to make these actually not optional. So we'll delete these, and we'll get rid of these here. So we have our character options, and then here let's create a variable called character description of type string. And again, let's put in the text that is right here. So a cat that is smiling in the park. And I want to get the description from each of these options. So the character option is a man, a woman, an alien, a dog. It's the exact same string as this itself. So we can just make this conform to string protocol, which gives us a raw value of man, woman, etc. So here we'll get rid of the word cat, and we'll add the character option dot raw value that is smiling in the park. So we're going to do the same thing for the other 2 values as well. So make this conform to string. This will conform to string. This will be the character action dot raw value. And this here will be the character location dot raw value. Cool. So now we have this builder, and we can test it with any 3 inputs for this. Let's also create another initializer here, just a convenience initializer for our avatar. So if we pass in an avatar of type avatar model, then we should also be able to set this up. So I'm going to copy these, paste this here. And passing in an avatar, we're going to pass in the avatar.character option, the avatar character action, and the avatar.character location. These are all optional, so let's give them a default value of maybe .man. Let's do a default of smiling and a default of park. Now I said the word default here. You could imagine that we have this situation multiple times in our application where we have this optional and we need to give it a default value. And so right now we know that the default value for character action is going to be smiling. But imagine I have this in my code base 10 different times, and each time I give it a default value, and one of the times I end up changing the default value to something else. Now, I don't have anything in my code base that is actually going to tell me what the default value is supposed to be. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into each of these options, and we're going to manually give it a default value. So in here, I can create a static variable called default, and it will be of type self, and open the brackets. Now this word default is a special keyword in Swift. So we can't actually just use it as is, unlike if we name this anything else. See how this is blue? But because it's the word default, the compiler doesn't understand what we're trying to do here. So we can actually use a backtick to set the default value here. The default value is going to be .man. And then let's copy this. Paste it here. The default will be smiling, and the default down here will be park. So now in my code, I can always, instead of defaulting to man, I can default to the default for each of these. The default and the default. So now if I use this later, I don't have to think twice about what the default is supposed to be. Let's take our avatar description builder. Let's come up to our code base here, and let's create one in our view, and we'll pass in self, pass in the avatar, and we'll return the .description, or the character description from this builder. We'll return the avatar description. So now we can go to our explore view, and the subtitle can actually be the avatar.character description. Let's let that render, and now we have our description displaying in our cell. Awesome. So that's it for this video. Now that we have our description, we can actually use it in this cell. And in the next video, we'll actually build out this carousel component. Option Command C, and we will make a feature, call this AvatarModel, stage and commit, push that up to GitHub. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.